The quietest man in the room is usually the one who's already seen everything and survived it. There's a reason evil can't get close to Sigma males, and it's not because they're cold or paranoid. It's because they see too clearly. They've been through too much, stayed silent when others would have screamed, and chosen truth over comfort more times than they can count. That clarity, that's their shield. Not from people, but from the darkness that hides behind charm, status, and smooth words. See, Sigma males don't walk around with a target on their backs because they're not playing the same game as everyone else. They don't seek approval, they don't rely on groups, and they don't ignore red flags just to keep someone around. That alone makes them nearly untouchable to manipulators, narcissists, and every form of spiritual parasite out there. Evil doesn't need fire to spread, it just needs a weak boundary. But Sigma males, they're made of scar tissue, forged in silence and guided by an inner compass that doesn't bend for drama, power plays, or fake love. That's not just strength, that's protection. If you're that kind of man, one who watches before he speaks, walks away without noise, and refuses to play puppet, you're not broken, you're chosen. And whether you know it or not, you're walking with a kind of shield most people can't see, but evil definitely can. Let's get started. Number 1, he's built from scar tissue, not fragile flesh. Here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Life is brutal. It doesn't care how pure your intentions are, how kind your heart is, or how badly you want peace. It hits hard, and for the Sigma male, it's hit harder than most. Not once, not twice, over and over. But here's what makes him different. He didn't just survive it, he transformed because of it. See, some men get softer when life cuts them. They turn bitter, scared, or emotionally numb. But the Sigma, he got sharper. Every betrayal, every loss, every dark night he didn't think he'd get through, it didn't make him weaker. It made him solid. He's not walking around with open wounds waiting to be healed. No, he's walking with scars, and every single one of them is a reminder that he's already lived through the kind of pain that would have broken most. That kind of history builds a different type of man, quiet, grounded, and absolutely immune to petty evil. Evil people can sense it too. They know they're not dealing with someone who thinks he's strong, they're standing in front of someone who's proven it. Someone who's been through emotional war and came back with armor they didn't give him. There's nothing to exploit, no weak spot to poke, no hidden desperation to manipulate. Because a man made of scar tissue doesn't need approval, control, or validation. He doesn't fall for flattery or threats. He's already seen the worst of people and walked away stronger. You can't break a man who's already been broken and rebuilt himself. This is why evil people can't touch him. They're used to fragile targets. But the Sigma male, he's been fire tested. And now, he is the fire. Number 2, he reads patterns, not words. Talk is cheap. Anyone can say the right things. I've got your back, you can trust me. I'd never do that to you. But the Sigma male, he doesn't buy it. Not because he's cold or paranoid, but because he's learned that words are the easiest thing to fake. Patterns aren't. While others get caught up in what people say, the Sigma is watching what they do. He's not listening to the surface noise. He's tracking timelines, matching tone with body language, and picking up on the little shifts that most people miss. A smile that doesn't reach the eyes, a promise that comes with hesitation, an apology that feels more like manipulation than remorse. And he doesn't just look at one moment, he watches patterns over time. 1 slip-up might be a mistake, 2, a red flag, 3, now you're showing your true nature, and by then he's already gone. No drama, no warning, just distance. This is what makes Sigma males so hard to deceive. You can't fool someone who's not focused on your words, but on the repetition of your choices. Evil people hate this. Their usual tricks, guilt trips, charm, fake vulnerability. Don't work on someone who's emotionally detached enough to wait and watch. He knows that the truth always leaks through behavior. And when things don't line up, he won't confront you. He'll just quietly stop trusting you. By the time you realize he's seen through you, it's too late. This isn't about being suspicious, it's about being aware. The Sigma male doesn't assume the worst in people. He just refuses to ignore the signs when the math doesn't add up. In a world full of performers, manipulators, and smooth talkers, this ability is his shield. You can lie with your mouth, but you can't lie with your patterns. And that's exactly what he's reading. Number 3, he's not addicted to hope. Hope can be a beautiful thing, but in the wrong hands it becomes a weapon. And evil people, they know exactly how to use it. They dangle hope like bait. I'll do better next time. Things will change. Just be patient. That's how they trap good-hearted people into staying in bad situations. But not the Sigma male. He doesn't run on maybes. He doesn't cling to what could be. He deals in what is. See, the Sigma male has already learned the hard truth. Some people don't want to grow. They don't want to get better. They just want to keep you close while they keep being the same. And rather than waste time hoping they'll evolve, he watches what they actually do. And if the pattern is off, he cuts it off. No warnings, no second round of explanations, no emotional speeches, just distance. Quiet, clean, and final. That's not heartless, it's wise. Evil relies on dragging people through emotional cycles. Love bomb, lie, apologize, repeat. But the Sigma doesn't participate in loops. Once he sees it's going nowhere, he steps off the ride. He knows that blind hope is just slow poison. It keeps people stuck, wishing and waiting while their energy gets drained. But the Sigma male? He'd rather face a painful truth than live in a comforting lie. That's what makes him dangerous to manipulators. He doesn't need false hope to feel whole. He's not emotionally codependent. He doesn't crave potential. He values peace over possibility. And that kind of mindset, it breaks the whole manipulation game. So when someone tries to sell him another round of maybe things will be different, he doesn't argue. He just nods, disappears, and moves forward because he doesn't wait on change. He walks toward it. That's not cold, that's clarity. And that clarity is exactly what evil can't touch. Number 4, he's spiritually armed, not religiously programmed. The Sigma male doesn't just follow the crowd, even when it comes to matters of faith. He doesn't swallow belief systems just because they were handed to him. He doesn't do things just because that's the way it's always been. He questions everything, every rule, every ritual, even his own thoughts. That makes him spiritually dangerous to anyone trying to control him. You see, evil doesn't just hide in actions. It hides in dogma, in fake virtue, in systems that demand obedience without understanding. Most people don't see it because they're programmed to follow. But the Sigma male, he's built differently. He doesn't look for a script to follow. He listens to that deeper voice inside. His compass is internal, not external. That's what makes him spiritually armed. He walks with divine instinct, not blind belief. His connection with the higher power, whatever he calls it, is personal, unfiltered, and deeply real. It's not about church attendance or public displays. It's about truth, alignment, and clarity. Evil can't hijack that. It can't twist it. Because the Sigma doesn't outsource his spirit, he protects it. You can't manipulate someone who doesn't fear questioning. And you can't trap someone who's willing to walk alone for what feels right in the soul. That kind of independence shakes people, especially those who need control. They can't guilt-trip him with shame. They can't box him into labels. They can't throw scriptures or mantras at him and expect him to bow. If it doesn't sit right with his spirit, it gets examined. If it's built on control, it gets burned down. The Sigma male isn't here to be led blindly. He's here to see clearly. And when you walk with that kind of spiritual armor, the darkness has no entry point. So while others are busy being taught what to believe, he's focused on discovering why he believes. And that makes him completely untouchable. Number 5, he sees you before you see him. The Sigma male never walks into a room blind. While others charge in ready to impress or be seen, he's already observing, quietly, intentionally. That stillness people mistake for shyness, that's calculation. He's scanning the room, measuring energy, body language, tone, motives. Before anyone even knows he's paying attention, he's already figured out who's real and who's wearing a mask. And that right there, that's what evil people hate. See, manipulation depends on catching people off guard. Most manipulators work best when they can strike fast, charm you, confuse you, make you feel small, or pull you in before you even know what's happening. But with a Sigma male, that window never opens. Why? Because he already saw the setup before you said a word. He notices the overcompensation in your smile, the forced laughter, the way your story changes depending on who's watching. He catches the little things, the hesitation in your voice, the need to dominate a room, the weird shift in energy when certain people speak. Most people miss it. But not him. By the time you lock eyes with a Sigma, he's already made his call. You're either trustworthy or marked. He doesn't need hours or days to figure people out. He reads people in real time, and once his mind is made up, good luck trying to change it with charm or small talk. It won't work. That level of awareness ruins every sneak attack. It kills the element of surprise. And for evil people who rely on confusion and emotional chaos to gain control, facing a Sigma male is frustrating. It's like trying to play chess with someone who's already seen the end of the game. You can't ambush a man who already saw your shadow walking in. He may be quiet, but don't confuse that with blind. He doesn't just walk into rooms, he reads them. And by the time evil notices him, he's already 10 steps ahead. Number 6, he doesn't need to be believed. Here's where evil loses all its power, when it meets a man who doesn't need to be believed. See, most people fall into the trap of trying to prove themselves. They explain, they defend, they beg to be understood. That's exactly what manipulators want. They thrive off confusion and doubt. That's how gaslighting works. Twist the story, deny the facts, make the other person feel crazy. But the Sigma male, he doesn't play that game. Why? Because he's not seeking validation. He's not asking for backup. He doesn't need a crowd to stand behind his perspective. He trusts his own mind. When he sees something off, he locks it in. When he feels something shift, he takes note. He doesn't second-guess himself just because someone else denies it. You can lie, you can spin, you can say, you're just imagining things. But guess what? He already knows what he saw, what he felt, what his intuition picked up. And he doesn't need you to agree. That quiet confidence is dangerous to evil. Because you can't gaslight someone who doesn't hand over their truth to be debated. The Sigma male has done the inner work. He's wrestled with his doubts, sharpened his instincts, and learned to trust the signals most people ignore. So when something doesn't feel right, he doesn't wait for proof. He doesn't beg for clarity. He trusts himself and moves accordingly. That unnerves manipulators because they can't get a reaction. They can't pull him into the drama. He's already decided, and his decision doesn't come with a need for applause or agreement. You either align or you get removed. Simple. The Sigma male's truth isn't fragile. It's grounded, quiet, and immovable. And when evil tries to twist it, they find themselves talking to a wall that already saw them coming. Number 7, he speaks less, but his silence cuts deeper. Some people fight with words. They argue, beg, over-explain, or talk themselves in circles just to be heard, accepted, or understood. But not the Sigma male. He doesn't waste breath trying to prove a point. His power isn't in how loud he gets. It's in what he withholds. He knows when to speak, but more importantly, he knows when not to. And that silence? It hits harder than any lecture ever could. Manipulators hate silence. They thrive on noise, drama, and emotional chaos. They throw bait hoping you'll bite, trying to push your buttons, drag you into arguments, or force you to react. But when they try that on a Sigma male, all they get is a cold, unreadable silence that throws everything off balance. He won't argue, he won't play games, he won't perform for anyone's emotional satisfaction. He just watches, quietly, sharply. And that unnerves people more than any outburst could. Because silence, when it comes from someone who knows their worth, is louder than shouting. It says, I don't owe you anything. It says, I've already seen through you. And most of all, it says, I'm not here to entertain manipulation. See, the Sigma male's silence isn't weakness, it's precision. He's not holding back because he's unsure. He's holding back because he's already decided you're not worth the energy. And that truth, that invisible cut, it leaves people spiraling. There's no panic, no begging to be understood, just presence, control, stillness. That's why evil people can't get a grip on him. They can't twist someone who refuses to tangle. They can't bait a man who doesn't flinch. They can't control a conversation he refuses to join. Because when the Sigma male goes silent, it's not retreat, it's domination. And that silence, it doesn't just speak volumes, it ends games. Number 8. His boundaries are spiritual landmines. The Sigma male doesn't announce his boundaries with a megaphone. He doesn't give out warnings, ultimatums, or drawn-out speeches. He just has them, firm, quiet, and non-negotiable. And once you cross the line, the consequences don't come with fireworks. They come with silence. See, most people get dragged into emotional chaos when someone disrespects them. They argue, yell, cry, explain, and try to make the other person understand. But the Sigma male, he doesn't play that game. He doesn't fight to be respected. He just withdraws. No drama, no second round, no emotional mess, just distance. And for toxic or evil people, that's terrifying because they feed on emotional reaction. They want guilt, tears, rage, anything they can use as fuel. But when you cross a Sigma male's boundary, all you get is the sound of your own echo. He doesn't scream, doesn't chase, and definitely doesn't plead. He simply vanishes from your space, your life, your energy. Cross him once, he'll retreat. Cross him twice, you don't exist. And it's not about ego or revenge, it's about self-respect. He doesn't waste time trying to train people to treat him right, he just removes them. And the scariest part for manipulators, they usually don't even see it coming because there's no warning shot, just silence. Complete bone-deep silence. To him, boundaries aren't just rules, they're sacred, they're spiritual, they're the invisible wall that protects his peace, his purpose, and his soul. And if you disrespect that wall, you step on a landmine. The explosion won't be loud, but it will be final. That's why evil people can't handle the Sigma male. They can't manipulate someone who doesn't respond. They can't provoke someone who won't engage. They're left swinging at shadows while he moves on, untouched and unbothered. His boundaries aren't just fences, they're filters. And if you fail that test, you don't get a second shot. Number 9, he's already made peace with pain. Pain breaks most people, but not the Sigma male. Because he didn't run from it, he sat with it. While others looked for distractions, quick fixes, or someone to blame, he faced it head on. He let the silence scream, he let the wounds bleed, he didn't numb it, he felt every drop of it. And that's exactly what made him unshakable. See, evil loves to prey on unresolved pain. It feeds off denial, avoidance, emotional wounds that never healed. It whispers lies when you're alone. It twists your feelings, poisons your thoughts, and manipulates your actions. But with the Sigma male, that door is locked. Why? Because he's already been through that fire and came out forged. He's met his darkest thoughts. He's wrestled with loneliness, betrayal, failure, the stuff that rips people apart inside. And instead of collapsing, he learned. Instead of running, he grew. He made peace with the pain and turned it into armor. So now, when evil tries to strike using guilt, fear, or old scars, it finds nothing to feed on. The Sigma male has already done the work. He doesn't need to pretend he's unbreakable because he was broken. But he rebuilt himself quietly, privately, without asking for applause or pity. That's what evil can't stand. Because when you can't scare a man with pain, you lose your grip. When you can't use suffering as a weapon, you lose your control. And when you meet a man who sees pain as a teacher instead of a curse, you know you're up against something rare and dangerous. The Sigma male doesn't just survive pain, he masters it. That's why manipulation won't work, that's why guilt won't work, and that's why evil can't touch him. Because he's not running from shadows, he walks with them. And that kind of man, you don't break, you respect. Number 10, he has no herd to be banished from. Most people are terrified of being pushed out of the group, out of the circle, out of the in crowd. That fear keeps them playing along, staying silent and tolerating nonsense just to belong. Evil people know this and they use it. They isolate you, they turn others against you, they threaten you with exile, hoping you'll break. But the Sigma male, he's untouchable here. Why? Because he never joined the herd in the first place. He's not built to chase clicks, crave approval, or beg for inclusion. He doesn't need a tribe to feel whole. In fact, isolation is where he thrives. It's where he regroups, refocuses, and reconnects with what matters. So when someone tries to exile him, it doesn't sting, it gives him space. That's what evil people can't stand. They can't punish him with loneliness. They can't use silence or social rejection as leverage. Because he doesn't rely on anyone to shape his identity. He's not trying to fit in. He's not seeking permission to be himself. He's already chosen solitude over fake connection, truth over popularity, and peace over people-pleasing. So go ahead, cut him off. Talk behind his back. Try to cancel him or paint him as the outsider. He won't even flinch, because his worth isn't tied to the crowd. In fact, the moment things start to feel too crowded, too shallow, too fake, he leaves on his own. Evil loses all power when it has nothing to take. You can't manipulate someone who's already free from the need to be accepted. You can't scare someone who's already comfortable standing alone. And you definitely can't control a man who doesn't fear exile. He welcomes it. So when others bend and break to stay inside the circle, the Sigma male walks right past it, unbothered, unmoved, and absolutely unchained. Number 11, he's not afraid to be alone with God. Most people panic in silence. They scramble for distractions, TV, noise, people, validation, anything to avoid being alone with their own thoughts. But the Sigma male, he doesn't just tolerate solitude, he chooses it. Because in that silence, he hears the only voice that matters. He doesn't walk with an entourage. He doesn't lean on public approval or social status. He's not afraid to unplug from the noise and sit with his soul. That's where he gets his clarity. That's where his strength is built. No fluff, no performance, just him and the divine. That kind of spiritual independence terrifies evil people, because evil thrives in confusion. It feeds off noise, chaos, crowd mentality. It wants you distracted, anxious, always reaching for something outside yourself. But the Sigma male doesn't reach, he listens. And when he listens, he hears what most people drown out: truth, instinct, conviction, warnings. That's his final shield, not a weapon, not a wall, but peace. When a man is completely at home in the quiet, with no audience, no echo and no applause, there's nothing left for evil to use against him, no insecurity to twist, no desperation to exploit, no craving to manipulate. The world may not understand him, that's fine. He didn't come here to be understood, he came here to be aligned with something higher, something unshakable. So while others chase attention, he stands still. And in that stillness, he's covered. A man who can walk alone with God isn't empty, he's full of purpose, full of discipline, full of something evil can't touch. Because when you've made peace in the silence of your own soul, no lie, no fake love, no spiritual attack can get through. That's not loneliness, that's power. And that's why evil can never reach him. Conclusion: why evil can't touch him. At the end of the day, the Sigma male isn't protected because he's lucky, he's protected because he's aware. He's walked through fire, sat in silence, faced himself, and came out with clarity most people run from their whole lives. That's not arrogance, that's earned wisdom. Evil can't touch a Sigma male because there's nothing in him that can be baited. He's not moved by status, not lured by flattery, not shaken by rejection. He's not trying to impress, belong, or win anyone's approval. He's living with purpose, not performance. While others are busy trying to fit in, he's figured out that peace is more important than popularity. That silence can be power. That cutting someone off isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Evil can't survive around that level of self-possession. It shrivels in the presence of someone who sees through it and doesn't need to fight it to win. Every scar on the Sigma's path became armor. Every betrayal sharpened his discernment. Every season alone helped him hear God louder and clearer. And now, he walks covered, not by noise or religion, but by a deep spiritual instinct that can't be manipulated. You are not like the others, and that's not something to hide. It's something to honor. You don't follow blindly. You question everything, even your own thoughts. That's rare. That's sacred. So if you've ever felt misunderstood, too intense, too distant, too real, know this: that's your shield, that's your edge, that's your design. Keep moving in silence. Keep standing in truth. You don't need the crowd to be chosen. You don't need the noise to be heard. You were built different for a reason, and that reason is clear now. Evil can't touch what it can't reach, and it will never reach you. Thank you for watching. God bless you.